Hey everyone, welcome back to a new video. I hope you had a great day. Let's take a look at some new malicious compliance stories, where people conform to the letter but not the spirit of a request. The first story is called, I need you to rewrite them. Upper management decided to trial a new system where colleagues would rate each other. The rules were that all comments had to be constructive. We couldn't write anything spiteful, untrue, or based on gossip. So you could write stuff like, colleague is always supportive and offers help when I need it, or colleague communicates clearly, and so on. Basically, they wanted us to think about how our colleagues helped us and what they contributed to the team. They hoped it would help gauge how well the team worked together and encourage them to be positive about each other. These reviews were to be handed to a manager, and only the manager was allowed to read them. This was tricky when it came to my coworker Mindy. Mindy fancied herself the queen bee of the office, and she tattled on everyone for petty stuff like using too many staples or being a few minutes late. She even kept a tally of how long each of us took going to the bathroom or getting a drink. She was overall a very toxic person. Worst of all, she was our manager's favorite, so she basically got away with everything. I tried to be as diplomatic as possible. So I wrote that her constant monitoring of our bathroom and drink breaks made me uncomfortable, and that maybe she needed more training because she frequently came to me with complicated queries that were actually pretty standard. And that she was also dumping complex cases on me because she said she didn't have time. Again, I wrote them in an array that wasn't accusing, just stating plain facts. Everyone in the team put their reviews in the box on the manager's desk. The manager was supposed to look through them and use them to tackle issues or any areas of discord in the team discreetly. In spite of the fact that these reviews were supposed to be anonymous and only for the eyes of the manager, Mindy somehow found out what was on them and she was furious. She accused us of ganging up on her and bullying her. And, you guessed it, she tattled to the manager. He called an emergency meeting to address it. He brushed off our concerns about how Mindy had read them at all. These were supposed to be anonymous and private. I need you to rewrite them all, he said. We all looked at each other. One of my colleagues, who I will call Tom, piped up. We did exactly as asked. Our reports were truthful and constructive, Tom said. No, you can't write this. You need to write them again, and this time stick to facts. Our manager snapped, and that was that. Mindy grinned smugly at us as we left. Tom stepped in and suggested we go out together and figure this out. There was no way we were going to lie and say Mindy was a great employee like our manager obviously wanted us to, but we had to do what he said. Tom had been at the company for decades and always stood by his colleague. He was a generally fantastic guy and we all loved him. He suggested we go out for drinks together to discuss it away from Mindy, so we did. At first, none of us knew what to do. What facts can we give about her that won't get us in trouble? Mindy sits at desk number. Mindy had short hair. I said sarcastic. Tom's eyes suddenly lit up. Yes, he said. That's exactly what we'll do. We worked together and came up with a plan. We redid the forms and we all wrote the exact same thing. Mindy has short hair. Mindy sits at desk number. Mindy works 9 to 5:30. Literally just a laundry list of mundane facts about Mindy, and our forms were identical. We waited until the last moment to post them in the box. Our manager hit the roof, but there was nothing he could do about it. We did what he asked and there was no time for him to make us do another. So he just submitted them. The scheme was soon dropped because it created too much work and was replaced instead with a system where colleagues could nominate each other for awards. Guess who never got nominated for any awards? The next story is called The Ice Cream Incident. As a young teenager, I worked in an ice cream shop. A scoop of ice cream was supposed to be a quarter of a pound, and they had genius ways for scooping to make sure each scoop was perfect. A notoriously bad regular ordered a scoop. After receiving his scoop of ice cream, he began to loudly complain that it was not a quarter of a pound. The manager asked the customer, "Who scooped your ice cream?" He immediately pointed directly at the scared tiny 16-year-old girl. She did. The manager marched the young lady up to the front of the store while everyone, employees and customers, stood in tense silence. She pulled out a digital scale, took the man's ice cream out of the cone and placed it on a sheet of wax paper on the scale, 0.35 pounds. The manager proceeds to grab a knife and cuts off the overscooped ice cream and scrapes it into the sink. Now exactly a quarter of a pound. Then the manager puts what remained of the ice cream back on the stunned customer's cone. The manager quite loudly says, "Susie, our customers are paying for a quarter of a pound of ice cream. If I ever catch you scooping more than a quarter of the pound for this customer, we may have to let you go." The manager then says, "Mr. Customer, I've watched you come into this ice cream store for years. You have regularly received more ice cream than you have paid for while embarrassing and intimidating our workers. I'm sorry this has been happening to you for so long, and I will see to it that it never happens again." It never did. The third story is called, Do You Have It in Writing? I rented an apartment for about 7 years. At one stage I asked my building manager if I can paint a wall. She says it's fine as long as it is painted back to white before I leave. The building manager was always a bit difficult, but I am easygoing, so we never had any major issues. Fast forward and I buy our house. It works out that I'm going to move out on the 20th of the month rather than the end of the month that I have paid for. I give proper notice, the month's end, to the manager, but let her know I'm moving out early and we can do the inspection on the 21st after I paint the wall, etc. She tells me not to worry about the wall as the apartment was due for renovation. So new floors, cabinets and painting were happening 1st to 24th and the new tenant was moving in early on the 25th. Well, I move out on the 21st late in the day and I invite her to do an inspection. I have taken great care of the place, but she gets her inspection done and lets me know she is keeping my damage deposit, our full month's rent. According to her, I never filled the holes where some pictures were hanging and the wall was not white. But you said not to worry about the wall. Do you have that in writing? Your lease says walls have to be white when you leave. No worries, I will make sure to paint that wall and fill the holes in the next week or so. You can come back on the 31st. But I have a workman coming tomorrow. You said you were moving out today. Do you have that in writing? She ended up writing me a check for the damage deposit and refund of 1 week's rent before I left that night. She had pulled this move with other people who had moved out, so I was calm as a cucumber when she tried to rip me off. I knew I had the upper hand and already thought of what I would say and ask for if she did try to screw me. The last story is called, Don't Participate. I was new to our company, but had done the job for years at other companies. The new company required that I go through the new employee training. I understood. Every company has its differences, and it would mean just sitting on easy and boring Zoom trainings for 2 weeks from home. Figured I could manage it. Knowing I had a lot of experience but was surrounded by first-timers, I didn't want to show off or be a know-it-all. But I still participated in week 1. When asked, I gave opinions, answered questions, and asked questions. I felt I found a decent balance of not taking over conversations but still being present. Well, at the end of week 1, my supervisor checks in with me. In our conversation, they recognize that this is all news for me. They recommend that I just hang back and let everyone else enjoy training and participate less. Cue malicious compliance. I took this to mean I should stop talking. Remember, I felt pretty appropriate and balanced week 1. I held back a lot. So not only did I stop talking, but I turned my Zoom camera off and now spend the training time doing things around the house, watching TV, etc. I would listen in at the beginning and end of every training just to make sure I knew what happened, but otherwise I checked out. I'd catch other moments here and there and hear a lot of empty silences and even some really problematic answers being shared. I can't say I was important or needed, but I think having someone experienced probably twice a day to fill in silences or share a real experience could have been nice. The end of the week comes along and we take a quiz of sorts. Doesn't affect our job, but we get real-time feedback on our answers. I aced the quiz. After we take each part of the quiz, we discuss it as a group. The group struggled, and I was tempted to just answer a question once to move things along, but I held back, as requested. The more incorrect the answers were, the more we had to discuss. So if I had just said I got B for number 2 because XYZ, they'd say great explanation, let's move on to number 3. Instead, we spent 5 to 10 minutes per question, being up to 2+ hours in total, to review a quiz that gave us the answers as we went. I could tell the supervisors did not expect it to take this long, but I did not even attempt to assist, just sat there with my perfect score letting everyone else learn. Getting paid to clean your own house seems like a pretty great deal, don't you think? And now it's your time to shine. Let me know what you think about the stories. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the stories? I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Bye bye.